What if the game knew exactly how you were going to break it? Perhaps if you planned on min-maxing, or rather, simply to go along with the story. What if there were armors and weapons in the game specifically designed for you, and you never even knew it? Surely there wouldn't be an entire video describing the fact that this actually happened. Surely. I am a game developer, and I've recently designed and published a tabletop called Utopia, and have plenty of other games in the works, generally too many. High-octane, split-second decision, adrenaline pumping. Please take the dating sim off the screen. Please, listen, chat made me... Okay, whatever. Never mind that. There's a model I've been beating over the community's face for some time, just like I did in this video, and it's intended to do just what I described above. In this video, we'll go over the basics of the system, and then start tying knots between it and the way we choose to play games. How can we design game mechanics with each player type in mind? Surely you can't make everybody happy, right? Well, I'll answer that question after making this mountain. I'll be back briefly. When it comes to talking about somebody's playstyle, the term may be kind of vague until we narrow it down. So let's go ahead and do that. If I were to walk up to you and ask, what's your playstyle? You may respond with something along the lines of, who are you and how did you get into my house? However, you may also say, I don't know, what game are we talking about? Thanks for letting me stay at your house, by the way. I know you didn't mean it. If we tighten that opening to just RPG games, we do have a lot more to work with. Usually, in an RPG, you may see classes such as Tank versus Marksman versus Mage, or perhaps Barbarian and Druid. But sometimes, it's not even that simple. If you play RuneScape, first of all, I'm sorry, I know how you feel. Second of all, you may hear playstyles between PvP, PvM, or skilling. If you're an avid Minecraft player, you may hear terms like Redstone Engineer, Builder, Explorer, all as different options as to how to play the game. These options are wildly different from any basic class system. So how many playstyles can a single RPG really produce? If I were to craft you your perfect game in front of you, what would be the main goal? Would it be crunching numbers to find the optimal outcome for the smallest amount of time, or would it be throwing your face at a monster until you can crumble the virtual patriarchy? And even better, can a game handle all of those potential gaming behaviors? Well, since I use idioms as fuel for my infinite spike machine that I use to produce useless ambitions, let's reinvent the wheel real quick. I personally really like the number 3. Really like the number 3. In fact, I think that my love for the number 3 may even bleed into me liking the number 6, or even the number 9 on a good day. So I'm going to break the various best player experiences into 3 very large categories, and we can refine it from there. Ambition, status, and knowledge. Starting with ambition, this is the fundamental desire for success. These are our numbers get bigger players, our beat the bigger monster, get an even better time than before. The goal of our ambition players is simply to get better than they were before, whatever that metric may be. This could be creating farms to supply their even bigger farms, killing thousands of monsters just to get an upgrade to only their head slot. If we want to give a good experience to those players, we'll need clear goals, clear upgrades, and a method to get there. Success should be rewarded, and rewards should feel like a proper achievement for the work they've put in. Speaking of achievement, let's talk about status. When it comes to playing a game, there's something unique about feeling special or important. Minecraft is an exceptional example of this. The developers of Minecraft make it very clear that as a player, you are the only creature capable of shaping this world in a meaningful way. This world around you may be infinite, but it's nothing in comparison to what you'll make it become. Status is the ability to become important, to become the hero or the villain of your story, to prove your value and worth to the world in a way it cannot deny. To appeal to status players, we'll need to make sure that they have something that can't be taken away from them, something that allows them to lord over the world, regardless of whether or not they choose to use that ability. And finally, we have 1/3 of players left, our lovely knowledge players. A knowledge-based playstyle is about discovery, whether that be done through exploring, testing potion materials to see what explodes and what heals people, to discovering new custom spell mechanics for their next epic quest. When it comes to designing a world, there should be consistency in how the ecology interacts with itself. Civilizations act in correspondence with each other, different materials interact uniquely when smashed against one another, and sometimes we don't do that and we just give them electrical engineering, but it's red. Now, reserve your very polite comments for just a mere moment. I'm not saying you can only be one of these. In fact, I think you can be 2 of these. If you try really hard, you could be up to 4 of these. Okay, well, Maybe not 4 of them. This is just 3 rough lines in the sand that we can consider when devising our perfect game. If we were to treat these as the 3 main focuses, is there a way for each one of these players to experience something they would want? Whether it be a slice of lifestyle farming sim with a romance system or a tabletop RPG with a bardic dragon romance system, it's far from impossible to make sure everybody has their nook in the game. But much more importantly than just giving them a way to play, I would argue it's much more important to empower their playstyle. I'll be using tabletop RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons or Utopia TTRPG as an example, because it'll do a good job of enforcing my point. Let's take a stereotypical party composition. A caster, perhaps a wizard or a sage of some variety. Squishy, powerful, and sick of having to do all of the reading for anything that has numbers, or letters in it for that matter. A martialist of sorts, generally our frontliner, big bonk, beat 'em up, human fighter named Bob. Everybody needs one, really. And finally, we'll take one lovely pickpocketeer, roguish, charming, fast, and elusive enough to win your heart while still leaving you with the bill. If I were to be the game master for this campaign with these 3 players, there's a huge thing on my mind. How do I make sure that each one of these characters get a chance to flex their capabilities? Sure, their end objective is to kill Rosnock the Demon Lord, but as far as I can see it, that's just the wagon to carry the full experience. Their main quest is important, but their ability to be a part of an adventure they want to be on is far more valuable to me. So while designing a path from point A to point B, there are 3 smaller objectives I'm going to consider. Put lightly, we'll call it a puzzle point, a political point, and a power point. Our puzzle point for this example will be an abandoned castle, where our heroes need to research their surroundings, discover the various runes and what they mean to learn how to unlock the door, and spend time prior preparing for the various traps that may have been devised. Our political point will be a powerful kingdom full of gossip, stakes, and dark underbelly that's slowly working its way to the surface. Anyone who managed to work their way through the social volcano that is the political tension, they'd truly be considered a champion amongst men. And finally, our PowerPoint, not like the Microsoft app, our point of power, may be a fight pit, where the team will have to ascend through a small rank system, going on to fight bigger and bigger people and monsters, slowly getting upgrades as each fight is completed. I'm sure you can tell where my mentality was here. Each of these objectives are very heavily tied to the strengths of one specific member. This gives them each a moment to shine, but not only that, it offers a type of progression that each one of our 3 types of players may care about: ambition, status, and knowledge. When it comes to making a game, including a video game, I would use this exact same philosophy. But instead of 3 very specific players, consider the number of archetypes a person could take on. What is an objective or a level of progression that would truly enhance their level of play? What would feel like an achievement that they would care for, and what would be another objective they would really care to tackle? Now, so far, this is really quite simple, perhaps even too simple. So let's overcomplicate it. Oh, it seems like that ancient torn down castle was hiding something valuable. An ancient artifact of sorts. Man, it must have been here for thousands of years. Oh wow. Never mind, this is useless. Remember how I said I like 3 so much? I may even like the number 9? Well, let's give a little love to that lucky number 9. Consider this. You can break those 3 playstyles into 2 parts, an internal drive and an external filter of sorts. Consider it like this. I may have an internal drive of ambition. I crave success, upgrades, and progress. However, I have an external filter of knowledge. My methodology for those upgrades will come in the way of discovery, exploring, and experimenting. This inside portion we'll call an endo. This endo will dictate the actual thing that you want to garner from the gaming experience. The outer portion we'll call an exo. This exo will decide how you go about achieving the thing itself. You can mix and match these however you like, including laying one on top of itself. Perhaps your preferred playstyle is status, and you find it through, well, status. Very straightforward, really. There are 9 total combinations of these, and we can call these archetypes. With only this small change, we have now greatly increased the number of refined playstyles to consider. This really does create a strong guideline for how a player may want to go about achieving their goals. But what if this goes even deeper? What if we could get even more refined with how we treat the system? This model is called the compass, and it's something I've talked about a decent bit on my channel in the past. The compass itself has a lot deeper machinations to it, and if you're interested in learning more about it, you can read the documentation in the links below or watch the video. All of the literature and more, including a community of people who would be more than happy to help you discover your playstyle or your favorite fictional character's archetype, is available in the Discord. Links in the everywhere. The compass is very color-coded. If we consider our ambition players, the inside portion, or endo, is red, while the outside portion, or exo, is purple. Status players would be deemed a green endo or a blue exo, and a knowledge endo is yellow, while a knowledge exo is orange. When you put these things together, you get the 9 archetypes on screen, and with only that information, there's a lot more that I can know as a game developer when it comes to making a game dedicated to your preferred preference. In fact, let me give you an example. This is a really funny story, actually. When I was designing Utopia, about 2 years into its development, the compass began to become a real concept that I was considering. Having another 2 years of development to go for Utopia, it slowly became integrated into the game. If you look at various talent trees in the game, they're actually color-coded to the compass. However, the book doesn't explain these color coordinations at all. Instead, it remained a little Easter egg in the book for a few friends I had told the compass about. But now, I get to finally explain what it all means. Without diving all the way into it, in Utopia, you take talents level by level. Rather than having a class that decides what your next rest of your life looks like, you will gain levels and spend that experience on talents as your journey progresses. Your selection is broken into 6 core talent trees: Warfare, Tactics, Innovation, Magecraft, Influence, and Prowess. Warfare is red. It offers abilities that give you more attacks in less time, add more ways to make a better use of your weapons without physically modifying them, and make full use of your entire turn. Red is our ambition-based endo. Innovation is orange. This gains you access to the game's custom item crafting system. This is the most mechanics-heavy portion of the game. You can take a series of features, whether it be damage or range or poison, and piece them together in such a way that makes your weapon and armor powerful without breaking the bank of resources you've acquired. Orange is our knowledge-based exo. If you were a red-orange, in compass terms, this is called a mastermind, this is my way of silently saying that these are the portions of the game that I, as a developer, think you will best enjoy. Specifically, the orange innovation tree will allow you to learn and experiment with different ways that you can turn a bunch of metal scraps into a giant rocket hammer of doom, while the red warfare tree gives you access to more ways to exercise your newfound smashing power. Don't take that out of context. And of course, you can mix and match these various talent trees to your heart's content. This isn't a required method of play, it's a simple guideline to help create an experience that empowers any given player. Now, if you're saying, I'm a lover, yellow-blue, and I absolutely hate designing spells and don't care to deal with language and politics, don't worry. I haven't even put the spikes on this completely redesigned wheel. Note to self, spikes do make it harder for a wheel to roll smoothly. I'll keep that in mind. The hardest part about designing a system around people, in my humble opinion, is the fact that people can change over time. Frankly, if you could stop doing that, that would be amazing. It would make my job way easier. In consideration of this, every person has what's called a sub-archetype. In grossly simplistic terms, I like to call this your backup personality. As you endure stress and stipulations, you may flex your archetype a little bit. For this next bit, I'll assume your archetype is Conductor, green-purple, aka status through ambition, and your sub-archetype is Lover, yellow-blue, aka knowledge through status. This means there's a lot of different avenues that your playstyle could go through, how it can manifest over time. On a good day, you'll enjoy gaining status through ambition, taking new upgrades to become powerful and important. However, on a bad day, it's possible that your endo will degrade from green to yellow, meaning that rather than status, you want to head towards learning. This temporarily maneuvers you towards a yellow-purple archetype, an Inquisitor. In order to make a game that can capacitate this change, we'll need to have mechanics that allow you to shift on a dime when you want to have more relaxing play. You could also regress the other way. Instead of your endo going out, your exo can go out. In this specific instance, this would mean that your purple slowly shifts to a blue, putting you temporarily at a green-blue performer. Green-blue is status through status. With this one singular hypothetical player, we can see the huge dynamic shift that can happen over a short period of time. This is the dynamic nature of a meaningful experience as the way I see it. Well then, big loud speaking floating PNG creature, I hear you ask, how do we go about doing all of that then? Well, I don't know, but I'll figure it out real quick, I guess. I don't know, give me a second. For our hypothetical perfect game, we'll keep these 3 playstyles in mind. Ambition, red and purple. status, green and blue, and knowledge, yellow and orange. We'll make ourselves a basic survival RPG. In our RPG, each item will have a tier of some type. For simplicity, I'll call this tier 0, tier 1, and so on. Tier 0 being basically a few rocks you tie to a stick, level of hand craftsmanship. Within each tier, I want a set of equipment that matches and enforces a playstyle. To keep it simple, let's say there's 3 varieties. Tank gear will offer us raw stats. It'll be practical, efficient, and quite obvious in how tier 2 is better than tier 1. This can be our ambition-coded gear. Our rogue gear will give players the ability to hide and evade, reward throwing yourself into the fray of things by always having an active escape route, perhaps a boost to charisma when talking to NPCs or shopping. This will be our status-based gear. And finally, a good bit of magic gear to allow us to make use of spells at higher efficiency, access to more mechanical and utility-based gameplay. This type of gear will reward pre-planning, thinking ahead, and trying new varieties of spells, our knowledge-based gear. Now, these are wonderful and all, but what about acquiring them? And what about gameplay outside of combat? Well, I consider the best route to combine these two options. Let's add 3 different skills to this game that have nothing to do with combat. Let's call it smithing, bargaining, and alchemy. Smithing is pretty cut and dry, a skill-based minigame where you take some number of materials and mold them to a desired shape. You'll have to manage time and react to the material's temperament. As you get better at the skill, you'll unlock new ways to smith more efficiently. Better hammers that can move more metal faster, harder materials that offer higher yield, access to better item crafting, things of that nature. Bargaining is all about convincing. As you go around and trade, you are offered the opportunity to sell high and buy low. With each successful attempt, you gain a bit of renown with the folks around town. As your fame grows, people will naturally sell to you at a lower cost. More than that even, you'll gain access to new places around town since people are slowly growing more and more comfortable with you. And finally, alchemy. This is not only potion making, but finding new ways to combine the various organic resources you find around the world. Every organic material has a unique interaction with another, and the more you add to the cauldron, the more profound they get. Later, you can use this to unlock rooms that protect giant archives with valuable information, such as where to find extra rare resources, powerful enchantments for your tools, and secret locations hidden within abandoned ruins. Now that we have all of this in place, we can reward one playstyle with another. Various NPCs around the world will offer some combination of skills to gear. A smithing master, a bargaining master, and an alchemy master that each independently offer tank gear through various tasks that match their profession. This means that you can acquire tank gear through ambitious smithing, status-heavy bargaining, or knowledgeable alchemy. That is to say, this is a rewarding experience for executives, captains, and masterminds, respectively. Rinse and repeat for each type of gear and their various rewards. This basic framework has offered us a handful of things. If executed well, our 3 forms of play are heavily rewarded for their work and gain the ability to exercise their skills through a form of gaming that they would enjoy. Not only that, but if they feel like they want to take on a new style of play, they can still gain the type of gear they really like through a new format, such as gaining mage gear through alchemy instead of smithing, in the case that they don't feel so ambitious after a tough day at work. And this is only the beginning. This is a total of 9 NPCs, 3 sets of gear, and 3 game mechanics. But what are your thoughts? In fact, how would you go about playing this game? What would be your preferred method of play? There's 1.5 million ways to make a decent game, but there's something so special to me about allowing somebody to express themselves in their playstyle. We're so unique and complex as creatures. Customization is such an important part of gaming. If you're interested in a tabletop RPG, I would love for you to take a browse through Utopia. You can design your own spells from scratch, craft items feature by feature, there's infinite levels and no classes in sight. You can get the prototype for free, just to see if you like it. Consider it something like a demo, except you can play the entire game with it and a little extra elbow grease. No payments required. And of course, if you're interested in talking to somebody, or even about the various projects I've dropped throughout the video, absolutely join the Discord. The community is wonderful and welcoming, and I am personally active, answering whatever questions you may have. A huge shout out to the amazing patrons on screen. Your support makes these ambitious projects possible. I do, in fact, love every single one of you, no exceptions. You're not escaping my wrath. And of course, thanks.